Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the gathering, Alondra found herself perched on the edge of the pool, feet dangling in the water. Emily plopped down beside her, bumping her shoulder playfully. "So," Emily said, "was I right or was I right? Best party ever, yeah?" Alondra laughed, feeling a surge of affection for her new friend. "You were definitely right. Thank you for convincing me to come." Emily's expression turned more serious. "Can I be honest with you about something?" Alondra nodded, curiosity piqued. "When you first started at work, you seemed so closed off," Emily said. "But these past few weeks, it's like watching a flower bloom. You're glowing, Alondra. Whatever changes you're going through, they suit you." Tears pricked at the corners of Alondra's eyes. She blinked them back, overwhelmed by the simple acceptance in Emily's words. "Thank you," she said softly. "That means more than you know." As the party wound down and people began to leave, Alondra helped Emily and Zach clean up. The three of them worked in comfortable companionship, and Alondra marveled at how natural it felt. When everything was tidy, Zach insisted on walking Alondra to her car. "I'm really glad you came today," he said as they reached the curb. "You're always welcome here, anytime." Alondra smiled, touched by the sincerity in his voice. "Thank you, Zach, for everything." As she drove home, windows down and the warm night air whipping through her hair, Alondra felt a sense of peace settle over her. For the first time since moving to this town, she felt like she truly belonged. The next morning, Alondra woke to the sound of her phone buzzing insistently. Bleary-eyed, she fumbled for it on her nightstand, squinting at the screen. Her heart skipped a beat when she saw the caller ID. Mom. Taking a deep breath to steady herself, Alondra answered. "Hello? Alondra, sweetheart?" Her mother's warm voice filled the line. "I hope I didn't wake you. I just wanted to let you know that I'm in town, and I'd love to see you. Are you free for lunch?" Alondra's mind raced. She hadn't seen her mother since before her move, before her transformation. The thought of facing her now in her new identity sent a wave of anxiety through her. But she knew she couldn't avoid this forever. "Sure, Mom," she heard herself say. "Lunch sounds great. There's a nice cafe downtown we could try." They made plans to meet at noon, and Alondra hung up with a mixture of excitement and trepidation. She spent the next few hours agonizing over what to wear, how to do her makeup, what she would say. In the end, she decided to be true to herself, choosing a pretty sundress and applying her makeup with care. As she walked into the cafe, Alondra spotted her mother immediately. Elena Martinez was a striking woman in her early 60s, with silver-streaked dark hair and kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. Those eyes widened slightly as they took in Alondra's appearance, but the smile that followed was genuine. "Oh, mija," Elena said, standing to embrace her daughter. "You look beautiful." Alondra felt tears prick at her eyes as she hugged her mother tightly. "Thanks, Mom. It's so good to see you." They settled into their seats, and for a moment, an awkward silence fell between them. Alondra fidgeted with her napkin, unsure how to begin. "So," Elena said finally, her tone gentle. "It seems you've gone through some changes since we last saw each other." Alondra nodded, her throat tight. "Yeah, I've been exploring some things about myself, trying to figure out who I really am." Elena reached across the table, taking Alondra's hand in hers. "And who are you, my love? Tell me everything." And so, over plates of salad and cups of herbal tea, Alondra opened up to her mother. She talked about the feelings she'd been grappling with for years, the sense of disconnection from her assigned gender, the joy and freedom she'd found in embracing her femininity. She spoke of her fears and doubts, but also of the incredible sense of rightness she felt when she looked in the mirror now. Throughout it all, Elena listened with rapt attention, her eyes never leaving her child's face. When Alondra finally fell silent, spent from the outpouring of emotion, Elena squeezed her hand. "Alondra," she said, her voice thick with emotion, "I want you to know something. From the moment you were born, all I've ever wanted is for you to be happy and true to yourself. If this is who you are, if this is what makes you feel whole, then I support you completely." Alondra felt a dam break inside her. Tears flowed freely down her cheeks as she gripped her mother's hand. "Really?" she whispered. "You're not disappointed or ashamed?" Elena's eyes flashed. "Ashamed? Of my beautiful, brave, incredible daughter? Never! I am so proud of you, Mija. So proud of your courage to live authentically." They spent the rest of the afternoon talking, laughing, and crying together. Elena asked questions, eager to understand Alondra's journey. She offered unconditional love and support, along with practical advice on navigating this new chapter of life. As they walked out of the cafe, arm in arm, Alondra felt as though a great weight had been lifted from her shoulders. The world seemed brighter, full of possibility. "So," Elena said, a mischievous glint in her eye, "when do I get to take my daughter shopping? I think it's time we had a proper girls' day out." Alondra laughed, her heart swelling with love and gratitude. "How about now?" she suggested. "I know just the place." Hand in hand, mother and daughter strolled down the street towards Bella's boutique, ready to embrace this new adventure together. As they walked, Alondra realized that she had finally found what she'd been searching for all along. Not just acceptance from others, but acceptance of herself. The bell above the door chimed as Alondra and Elena entered Bella's boutique. The familiar scent of floral perfume and the soft rustle of fabrics welcomed them, and Alondra felt a sense of coming home. Bella looked up from behind the counter, her face lighting up with recognition. "Alondra, darling, how lovely to see you again." Her gaze shifted to Elena, and her smile widened. "And who is this beautiful lady with you?" "Bella, this is my mother, Elena," Alondra said, a note of pride in her voice. "Mom, this is Bella. She's been an amazing help to me these past few weeks." Understanding passed between the two older women as they shook hands. "It's a pleasure to meet you, Elena," Bella said warmly. "Your daughter is an absolute delight." Elena beamed, squeezing Alondra's hand. "That she is, and I hear we have you to thank for helping her find her style." Bella waved off the compliment. "Oh, the style was always there. I just helped bring it out." She clapped her hands together. "Now then, what can I help you lovely ladies with today?" What followed was a whirlwind of fabric, laughter, and bonding. Bella expertly guided them through the store, suggesting pieces that would complement Alondra's developing style, while also picking out a few items for Elena. The dressing room became a sanctuary of girl talk and mutual admiration. As Alondra emerged in a stunning blue wrap dress, Elena gasped. "Oh, Mia," she breathed. "You look absolutely radiant." Alondra twirled, the skirt flaring out around her. She caught sight of herself in the mirror and felt a surge of joy. The woman reflected back at her was confident, beautiful, and unequivocally herself. "You know," Elena said, her voice thick with emotion, "I always knew there was something special about you, Alondra. Even when you were little, you had this light inside you that sometimes seemed dimmed. But now," she gestured to Alondra's reflection, "now you're shining so bright. It's like seeing you for the first time." Tears welled up in Alondra's eyes. She turned and embraced her mother tightly. "Thank you," she whispered, "for everything, for loving me, for accepting me." Elena pulled back, cupping Alondra's face in her hands. "Always, my love, always." Bella discreetly wiped away a tear of her own, touched by the scene before her. "Well," she said, clearing her throat, "I think this calls for a celebration. How about we pop open a bottle of champagne?" The three women spent the rest of the afternoon sipping bubbly and trying on outfits, their laughter echoing through the boutique. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow through the windows, Alondra felt a sense of completeness she'd never experienced before. Later that evening, after saying goodbye to her mother with promises of more visits soon, Alondra sat on her bed, surrounded by her new purchases. She picked up her phone, scrolling through the photos they'd taken throughout the day. Each image showed a woman becoming more comfortable in her own skin, surrounded by love and support. On impulse, she opened her text messages and composed a group text to Emily and Zach. "Hey guys, I have something important I want to share with you. Can we meet for coffee tomorrow?" Their responses came quickly, full of enthusiasm and support. Alondra smiled, feeling a surge of affection for her new friends. She knew that telling them about her journey wouldn't be easy, but she also knew that their acceptance at the pool party wasn't a fluke. They had seen her, truly seen her, and embraced her for who she was. As she got ready for bed, Alondra caught sight of herself in the mirror. The person looking back at her was no longer a stranger. She saw strength, beauty, and authenticity reflected in her own eyes. For the first time in her life, she felt truly at home in her own body. Climbing into bed, Alondra felt a sense of peace settle over her. The journey ahead wouldn't always be easy, she knew. There would be challenges and obstacles to face. But she also knew that she had the strength to face them and a support system to lean on when things got tough. As she drifted off to sleep, Alondra's last thoughts were of gratitude. Gratitude for the courage to be true to herself, for the love of her mother, for the kindness of new friends, and for the journey that had led her to this moment of self-discovery and acceptance. The future stretched out before her, full of possibilities, and Alondra was ready to embrace it all as her authentic self. The next morning dawned bright and clear, a perfect reflection of Alondra's mood. She hummed to herself as she got ready, choosing a pretty floral blouse and soft, flowing skirt. As she applied her makeup, she marveled at how natural the routine had become, how right it felt. The coffee shop was bustling when she arrived, the aroma of freshly brewed coffee and baked goods filling the air. She spotted Emily and Zach at a corner table, their heads bent close in conversation. As she approached, they looked up, their faces breaking into warm smiles. "Alondra!" Emily exclaimed, jumping up to give her a hug. "You look amazing, as always." Zach stood as well, giving Alondra a friendly pat on the shoulder. "Great to see you. We ordered you a latte. Hope that's okay." Touched by their thoughtfulness, Alondra settled into her seat. "That's perfect, thank you." For a few minutes they chatted about work and weekend plans, the conversation flowing easily. But Alondra could feel a nervous energy building inside her. Finally, during a lull in the conversation, she took a deep breath. "So," Alondra began, her fingers tracing the rim of her coffee mug. "I wanted to talk to you both about something important." She paused, searching for the right words. "You've both been so welcoming and kind since I started at the company, and I feel like we've become real friends." Emily reached out, placing her hand over Alondra's. "Of course we have. You can tell us anything." Zach nodded encouragingly, his usual easygoing smile replaced by a look of sincere attention. Alondra took another deep breath. "The thing is, I've been going through some changes lately, exploring aspects of myself that I've kept hidden for a long time." She looked up, meeting their eyes. "I'm transgender, I've known for a while, but I'm only now starting to live as my true self." For a moment, silence fell over the table. Alondra's heart pounded in her chest, her palms growing sweaty as she waited for their reaction. Emily was the first to speak. "Oh, Alondra," she said, her voice soft and filled with emotion. "Thank you for trusting us with this. I'm so honored that you felt comfortable sharing with us." Zach leaned forward, his expression earnest. "Absolutely. Alondra, you're our friend. This doesn't change that. If anything, it makes me admire you even more. It takes a lot of courage to be true to yourself." Alondra felt tears welling up in her eyes. She blinked them back, overwhelmed by the immediate acceptance. "You guys don't know how much that means to me," she said, her voice wavering slightly. Emily squeezed her hand. "Can I ask, is this why you seemed so nervous at the pool party?" Alondra nodded. "Yeah, it was my first time being in such a exposed situation since I started transitioning. I was terrified someone would notice or say something." "Well, for what it's worth," Zach said with a grin, "all I noticed was that you totally crushed us in volleyball." The tension broke as they all laughed. Alondra felt a weight lifting from her shoulders. "I have to admit," she said, "I was worried about how people at work might react, especially since I'm planning to start presenting as female full-time soon." Emily's eyes lit up. "Oh, we should go shopping. I mean, if you want to. I'd love to help you pick out some work outfits." "Actually," Alondra said with a smile, "I've already got a pretty good start on my wardrobe, but I'd love for you to meet Bella. She runs this amazing boutique downtown, and she's been incredibly helpful." As they continued to chat, the conversation flowed naturally to other topics. Emily shared funny stories from her latest date, while Zach groaned about his fantasy football team's performance. Alondra found herself relaxing more and more, reveling in the normalcy of it all. As they were getting ready to leave, Emily pulled Alondra into a tight hug. "I'm so glad you told us," she whispered. "And I want you to know if anyone at work gives you any trouble, they'll have to deal with me." Zach nodded in agreement. "Same here. We've got your back, Alondra." Walking back to her car, Alondra felt a lightness in her step. The sun seemed brighter, the air fresher. She had taken another big step forward on her journey, and the path ahead looked clearer than ever. As she drove home, Alondra's mind was already racing with plans. She thought about the conversation she would need to have with HR, about the process of legally changing her name, about the possibility of starting hormone therapy. Each step seemed less daunting now, knowing she had a support system behind her. Back at home, Alondra stood in front of her full-length mirror. She studied her reflection, taking in every detail. The soft curve of her cheek, the delicate arch of her eyebrows, the way her blouse draped over her body. For so long, she had looked in the mirror and seen a stranger. Now she saw herself, truly, completely herself. With a smile, Alondra reached for her phone. She opened her camera app and, for the first time, took a selfie without any filters or edits. Looking at the image, she felt a surge of pride and love for herself. Without overthinking it, she opened her social media app and posted the photo. The caption was simple. "This is me, all of me, and I've never been happier." As likes and supportive comments began to pour in, Alondra felt a sense of finality. This was more than just another step in her journey. It was a declaration to the world and to herself that she was ready to live authentically, unapologetically, and joyfully as the woman she had always been inside. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind of activity and emotion for Alondra. Each day brought new challenges and triumphs as she navigated her transition in both her personal and professional life. The meeting with HR went better than she could have hoped. The head of the department, a kind-faced woman named Cheryl, listened attentively as Alondra explained her situation. By the end of the meeting, they had worked out a plan for Alondra's workplace transition, including updating her email and employee records, informing her colleagues, and ensuring she had access to appropriate facilities. "We want you to feel comfortable and supported here, Alondra," Cheryl had said, her voice warm with sincerity. "Please don't hesitate to come to me if you encounter any issues or if there's anything else we can do to help." The day Alondra officially came out at work was nerve-wracking but ultimately affirming. Her immediate team, already aware thanks to Emily and Zach's discreet support, rallied around her. There were a few awkward moments and stumbled pronouns, but overall her colleagues were respectful and encouraging. One interaction stood out in particular. Derek, an older accountant who had always seemed a bit gruff, approached her desk late in the afternoon. "Alondra," he said, his voice gruffer than usual. I just wanted to say, well, you seem happier these days. And that's good. You do good work, and, well, that's what matters here. Touched by his awkward but sincere attempt at support, Alondra smiled. Thank you, Derek. That means a lot to me. Outside of work, Alondra's life continued to evolve. She started hormone therapy, a decision that filled her with both excitement and trepidation. The changes were subtle at first, softer skin, a slight redistribution of fat, but each small shift filled her with joy. Her friendship with Emily and Zach deepened. They became her staunchest allies, accompanying her to trans events and helping her navigate the sometimes turbulent waters of dating as a trans woman. Emily, true to her word, took Alondra on a marathon shopping spree, their laughter echoing through changing rooms as they put together fabulous outfits. Bella's boutique remained a sanctuary. Alondra found herself stopping by at least once a week, sometimes to shop, but often just to chat with Bella over a cup of tea. The older woman's wisdom and unconditional acceptance were a balm for Alondra's soul on the days when the weight of her journey felt heavy. One sunny Saturday afternoon, as Alondra was helping Bella rearrange a window display, the bell above the door chimed. They looked up to see Elena entering the shop, her arms laden with shopping bags. "Mija!" Elena exclaimed, her face lighting up at the sight of her daughter. "I hoped I'd find you here. I've been shopping all morning and I couldn't resist picking up a few things for you." As Elena began pulling items from her bags, a silk scarf here, a pair of elegant earrings there, Alondra felt overwhelmed by the love and acceptance radiating from her mother. She caught Bella's eye over Elena's shoulder and saw her own emotions reflected in the older woman's misty gaze. Later that evening, as Alondra stood in front of her mirror trying on her mother's gifts, she was struck by how far she had come. The woman staring back at her was no longer a stranger or a half-formed idea. She was real, vibrant, and fully herself. Alondra picked up her phone, scrolling through her recent photos. There she was laughing with Emily and Zach at a picnic in the park. Another showed her and her mother at a charity gala, both dressed to the nines. A selfie with Bella captured a quiet moment of shared understanding. Each image told a story of growth, of connections forged and strengthened, of a life lived authentically. Alondra felt a warmth spread through her chest, a deep sense of gratitude for the journey that had brought her to this moment. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to check out my other socials if you want more wonderful content, early access, behind the scenes, and more. All links down below.